English for Economists, the podcast meant for people working in economics and finance who want to improve their English using real-world, contemporary examples. My name is Alan Robert, and this is podcast number 55. In this lesson, we will look at the language surrounding profit spikes and windfall taxes. Okay, you understand what profit means, and you probably know that spike is a verb used to describe a sudden rise, a sudden increase. But what about windfall? And by extension, windfall taxes. To understand the word windfall, it's useful to break it into two parts, wind and fall. Of course, wind is the natural movement of air. The wind blows, and if the wind blows hard enough, it can make things fall. The word windfall, which was first used back in the 15th century, referred to the fruit that blew off the trees in a strong wind. And when that fruit blew off the trees, it would just lie on the ground, waiting to be picked up. Picking up that fruit was an easy victory for anybody who found it. After all, they wouldn't have to go to the trouble of picking the fruit off of the trees themselves. Nope. There it was, just waiting to be picked up off the ground. So over time, windfall came to describe a time of unexpected good fortune. Listen to this headline dated November 1st, 2022, and published on the BBC News site. BP profit jump sparks calls for a bigger windfall tax. Let's take a minute to deconstruct this headline, to understand the meaning, and hopefully to pick up some new English vocabulary. BP profit jump sparks calls for bigger windfall tax. Well, in the first place, BP is the British multinational oil and gas company headquartered in London, England. BP is one of the largest companies in the world when measured by revenues and profits. And profit jump in the title clearly means that BP has experienced a sudden increase in profit. No surprise there, given the recent high oil prices in the world. BP profit jump is the subject of this sentence. So, BP's profit jump has sparked a call. Aha, spark, that might be a new word for you. It's being used here as a verb, but spark is also a noun. A spark is a small fiery particle created by a fire, or produced when two hard surfaces like rock or metal hit one another. They spark. You can watch the sparks fly. Do you understand sparks? Those bright little things that fly off of your campfire? Sparks. Well, we can also use sparks to light a fire. And that's how I want you to understand it here. To spark is to ignite. In old weapons like muskets and cannons, sparks would ignite the gunpowder. So, spark is to trigger, to initiate, to spark. So let's get back to the headline. BP profit jump sparks calls for bigger windfall tax. We can now understand that the big jump in profits has triggered calls, or in other words, has provoked requests for a windfall tax. In other words, a tax on windfall profits. Windfall tax. Listen again. BP profit jump sparks calls for bigger windfall tax. Among other things, the writer of the article adds, and I quote, "All the big oil firms, including Total and ExxonMobil, have announced bumper profits in the past week." Now there's another fun word for you to learn, bumper. Bumper is a way to say unusually large. For example, you will often see the word bumper used in the context of agriculture. You might hear, "It was a bumper crop," and that refers to a particularly large harvest, a bumper crop. Bumper. So in this case, bumper profits, unusually large profits. Friends, try to remember these new words. You could even take a few moments now and build a few model sentences in your mind. That will help your retention. To spark. Windfall. Bumper. So spark is to ignite, windfall, an unexpected sudden good fortune, and bumper is something unusually large. Oil companies have experienced bumper profits this year, thanks to the high price of petroleum. Spark, windfall, bumper. Friends, that's all for now. Thank you for your attention today and for helping me make this podcast grow. The English for Economists podcast reached 10,000 downloads recently, and that was a very meaningful landmark for me. I also want you to know that I will be releasing a new video course on November 31st titled How to Give Great Presentations in English, even if your English isn't great. This course is designed for people with an intermediate level of English who need to give presentations, either in front of a face-to-face audience or over video conference. If that's you, this course will teach you techniques to leverage the English you already know to make you a better communicator overall. How to give a great presentation in English, even if your English isn't great. So sign up now and ensure that your next presentation is a huge success. You can pre-purchase the entire course for just $19.95. That price won't last, and it is a bargain. Okay, friends, before closing, you can find show notes for this podcast and all of my podcasts on the webpage, EnglishForEconomists.com. I will be back soon with another lesson. Take care.